The first Noel of liberty does twinkle like a Christmas tree, a star atop to beacon so, to signal to the gifts below. Presents wrapped and tied with bows, love's inside, one would suppose, but opened up to much surprise. Joy to the world, behold all eyes. A secret Santa Claus arranged, a Pollyanna gift exchange. Hark, the heralds, angels sing sweet, psalms of iniquity's defeat. Misery gone without a trace. O come all ye faithful to grace. Come out of the shadows fear had cast, to holy holiday at last. God rest ye merry gentle souls, fulfilled from prophecies of old. O holy night, O happy day, the Christmas spirits here to stay. It is so, and so it is. What's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Today is July 17th, Friday, July 17th. It is 2:09 on the clock. That is, well, first and foremost, the theme of today's message is Christmas in July. If you couldn't quite tell from the clues and the prayer, that which I wrote way back in July of 2024. So 2 years ago, this energy has kind of been in the making, and I felt guided to channel in that regard today. Of course, any opportunity to use my Nightmare Before Christmas cards is a welcomed one, so we're going to use those today. But then it dawned on me this prayer that I wrote, and I thought it was last year, but I didn't realize it was actually 2 years ago. Almost to date, but not quite, because it was on the 21st. So yeah, that's that. And so I'm going to channel basically like through this Christmas in July energy, perhaps what presents, what gifts can be expected, what surprises, what festivities, what, I don't know, what even just frequencies that can be expected through this time or during this time. I feel like it's something coming before the station of Mercury retrograde. I don't know, but that's what I'm sensing. So I feel like in that regard, like this is right on time, because this is putting us out maybe about a week ahead, a week and some change. Yeah, I think it stations on the 23rd. So perhaps what you can expect to see coming through, or at least the seeds of such maybe, or the signs of such perhaps, but we'll see. I don't want to dumb it down, because nobody wants a seed of a gift or a sign of a gift, a IOU on Christmas Day, now do they, right? So it might actually be that fantastical to, almost miraculous status as to what you can expect over the next 7 days. All right, so let's see what we got. Oh, you know what? Let's cut it a bit. Hope you're doing well, by the way. It's my intention. I said I wasn't going to say this, but I probably should just preface it. It's my intention to do a pretty short reading here and now, and then come back for maybe like a part 2, clarifying some things, or just a part 2 or a second message after, since I kind of missed out Monday. But if not, then maybe I'll see you sometime this weekend. All right. No promises. All right, let's go. What's that? The Hangman, not Santa Claus, hung up. These cards are a bit on a distorted side, so I'm going to try to read them as like straightforward as the traditional deck. But I may get a little lost to the left here and there. But the Hangman, in this case, there could be some enlightenment, some clarity, a new perspective that is a gift. And I mean, with it being Santa Claus himself in this position, it could be clarity that really solidifies your role, or really puts you in a good position to fulfill a very important role. It's like maybe a missing piece or a key that you've been needing, maybe that you didn't even know you were in the market for, but there's something that's to be desired that would really round out some position or point of power or influence that you may naturally possess, but this is something that's going to take it to the next level. Yeah, like kind of put you in, I feel like almost put you into like a mastery seed, or yeah, that's what I'm getting. Like put like to upgrade your skills and your wisdom or your know-how in a particular field or interest or creativity, whatever it is that this might apply to. It's something that was needed, that I get the sense it's like waiting on some clarity or something that you don't even really know what you're waiting on, but this is like a void, or something doesn't feel quite connected about who you are or what you do, and then an aha moment occurs, or just the thing or person even that you needed to come across comes in and completely puts the pieces together for you, or is that missing piece. Yeah, something like that here. Because I'm getting the sense that with the Hangman, there's a certain spirit of certainty, actually, and security that's desirable at this time. Like almost when you think about the movie, you know, Jack was an imposter. This is when Santa Claus was kidnapped and Jack kind of assumed his position. So it maybe someone or some are just kind of feeling that natural feeling of imposter syndrome when you're doing something that's a bit maybe even astounding to you or even new to you. Like you're moving into a position or a role or taking on some type of authority or possession or influence that almost feels like, am I qualified for this? Like, do I have what it takes? Maybe leading others even, or something just feels bigger than you or bigger than what you've ever been called to before. Like sometimes you can kind of get that imposter syndrome or reflection, just questioning if you are going to meet the challenge, or step into the shoes that are, assigned for you to do so. And I get the sense that just as it is with Santa Claus, like Santa Claus is Santa Claus, like there is no comparison or competition, even though, Jack, dot, 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 but even he had to ultimately, what's the right word? Like, relent to his lack of, like not relent, but almost like submit to the superior force that is Santa Claus, recognizing that that wasn't his calling. Those were not his shoes to fill. That was not even his town to be in. And for all intents and purposes, maybe it could be outward projections as you see in the picture, like different shadows of ghouls and ghouls that could be, could be provoked internally as well to have you question yourself. Like, Am I cut out for this? Do I have what it takes? Can I see this through all the way, or to the next level, or to the top, or whatever? Like, am I the man or the woman for the job? All of that good stuff. But in the end, there only is one Santa Claus. There only is one you. And even when those questions should arise, what I was going to say is that it's not so much of whether or not someone is qualified or just the natural fit for ... fill in the blank. It's whether or not you believe it, and sometimes that belief and that knowing, even further of a step, is what's missing between what is natural, what is destined and designed, and the fulfillment of that in an actualized sense, because of the things that you either tell yourself or make agreement with that come from the outside in and sometimes the inside out, uninvited, So it's something that is coming through that's about to solidify who you are, who you believe you are, I feel that advancing to a knowing of who you are without a shadow of a doubt, literally, without a shadow of a doubt. What you are and what you're capable of. And here's the 10 of Wands, which of course is the 10 of Candles here. So I feel, and I saw this in the pre-shuffle a bit, like just this 2:19 on the clock right now. This kind of like closing of the struggle, a season of, of struggle and pressure. That's what I'm getting. Like that, the pressures of those questions, those insecurities, those small voices inside your head that act as opposition. Is something about that that's being, first of all, illuminated for exactly what it is, and then brought to an indefinite end with the 10 of Pentacles. A relief of a pressure. That's a gift. We got the 9 of Needles, which is the 9 of Swords. Man, yeah. Sleepless nights. Worrying about the future. And I feel like this is all coming on account of this assurance here that's going to happen with this Hangman energy that kind of eliminates all of this here. The 9 of Needles again, which is like the 9 of Swords, like thoughtful about the future, what's going to happen, what hasn't even happened yet, but what might happen, and all the worst case scenario with much less of the best case scenario, like kind of almost being haunted, perhaps even from the past. Okay, coming off of the 9 of Candles, that haunting of past struggle, past misfortune, past shortcomings, past challenges, and when I say challenges, I mean like the energies again inside and out that almost question your capability or your worthiness, even more significant. That is what, imagine like somebody coming through or a spirit coming through and just completely wiping out the residue that provokes you from the past. Everything that you have come to be acquainted with, to make provision for, to sometimes agree with, to in some ways argue against, like to have none of that to contend with anymore suddenly, and to be abundantly clear that you are exactly who you believe and say you are, and then the evidence to show, to affirm that identity, and then the results and rewards of your efforts and your persistence and perseverance to prove as well, like equivalent to this moment here where Santa was locked up and he couldn't fulfill his duties, because not really because of him, but because he had outside forces that were interfering with his natural order of purpose. I'm sure he had a lot of questions in his mind in the movie as to how he even got entangled in this at that time, and whether or not the responsibility of Christmas, of which he carried a great deal of pressure for, would be all lost, and would it be his fault that it was, and just so many things you could imagine, like even in the animation, must have been going through his mind in terms of what was truly his fault, his response, literally emphasis on fault and responsibility, and feeling a heaviness, a burden almost, of what must be fulfilled by your hand and your hand alone. Imagine having so much to to contest with, naturally just trying to do you, let's say, and then all of a sudden that burden is just lifted. Suddenly there's a knowing that flushes over. Suddenly there are not a million voices in your mind questioning whether you have what it takes, or whether you're going to do a good job, or whether this thing is going to be a success. Suddenly it doesn't feel like you're trudging through mud anymore just to get the simple things done, the simple tasks toward a goal or an accomplishment done. All of that resistance has suddenly been cleared away. So therefore, not only are you released from the hauntings of the past, but it does allow you eventually, as you get used to such comfort, to sleep better at night, so that you don't project the worst from the past into your future. Some of us can't even really imagine what that weightlessness truly feels like, and you won't be able to imagine it until you're experiencing it firsthand, which is why it's a gift. To go about life, like I said, just knowing like it's in the bag, like whatever it is that you're pursuing, whatever you are working toward. It's like one thing if it's not supposed to pan out for natural reasons, but when there are all of these like distorted interferences, that of some of which we don't even know, how great of a magnitude they actually exist, those are the things that make life harder than it needs to be. So what happens when none of that exists anymore, and it's like, it's literally like your life is on autopilot almost, or at least there's no resistance in an unnatural way, and things just kind of, life is in flow. That's what I'm trying to say. Like life is just in flow, and you are flowing with it. What does that even look like? What does that feel like? I don't think many of us have a point of reference for an extended period of time in that experience. Maybe a season or so, a short time, one or two occurrences that come to mind, but to live a life like that, like imagine the rest of your life being lived in flow. That's a pretty big gift. With the Four of Potions, which is like the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups, yeah, that's like a resistance to, kind of like resistance to your intuition, or to divine love, like almost living in this, like here it is. It's like missing an opportunity. And that's the fear that something is going to be missed. That's what could keep you up at night. Like, oh, did I miss something? Did I miss a step? Is my intuition, or am I trustworthy? Am I trustworthy enough to depend on what I see, what I feel in my decision making, in my foreshadowing of what's to come, and what I do now to secure that. That's a real worry for some. And again, elimination of that in this regard, where you don't even have to, you just like the autopilot of it all is just naturally trusting yourself, trusting your instincts, trusting your intuition, trusting your divine guidance, being completely in tune with the signs around you, feeling like you almost have what's the right word, what's the word, like the intel that I'm thinking of, like a not sophisticated, but like some type of supernatural intelligence that you have direct access to, that channels through you, of course, that is trustworthy without a doubt, that puts you in a position where, to my point before, it's not so much of a matter of, oh, if it doesn't work out naturally, because it's something about being ushered into a time and space and era where that even doesn't exist. Like somehow, which I know sounds very fantastical, but like somehow you're only in alignment with the things that are in alignment with you. So that kind of curates a deeper sense of trust and a higher level of, let's say, confidence to just go for it, go out and get it, jump off the bridge, jump out the window. Like at every turn that you have an inkling within you to do something, to take a chance, to accept an opportunity, to whatever the proposition is in front of you, it almost is assumed that it must be for you if it's even made it to the point of connecting with you to some degree. Like that's what I'm sensing from that Four of Cups. Like, whereas is no longer, it doesn't no longer feels like a gamble or a risk, or is this right? Can I trust that cup? Is this from the divine? Is this something that's going to nurture me? Is it going to advance me, or is it going to set me back? Like that worry gets eliminated because of whatever this gift of security and confidence and certainty is. Like, I don't know exactly how that's going to be packaged, but that's exactly what I'm getting, like where the confidence is just on a supreme level. What is that? Get off my finger. On such a supreme level. It's like God level confidence. That's what it's given. Is that the gift? God level knowing, like omniscience. And therefore omnipotence channeled through you? Expressed through your waking life? Oh, your God body. The gift is an integration with your God body. So that spiritual supremacy of you that seems distant, seems otherworldly at times, that seems untouchable, unreachable, definitely seems superior. The gift is the knowing of that integration, and then, wow, I got chills. And then the affirmation of that integration by way of the almost immediate release of the things that conflicted, or that challenge it, and as a result, the influx of the things that solidify it, that make it impossible to deny within you. It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say, but this is a gift especially wrapped for you, because it's in you. Oh my goodness. This is something. I hope y'all feeling me right now. Because, wow. All right. I don't know. This might have to just stand alone. This is kind of special. I don't want to touch this after I'm done, I think. So I might either see y'all for another one with some other cards, or see y'all later this weekend. We'll see. All right, let me see. Let me get one more. Well, not one more. I'm actually going to need more than that. Three of Cups. That's like the celebration. Yeah, and that's why I was picking up the whole imposter syndrome thing, because humanly we've been conditioned to see ourselves as very separate from God, from the divine, from whatever that supreme source is that that you may or may not submit to. We've been conditioned to believe ourselves to be less than, lower than, unworthy of, even to some doctrines, a test. But what happens when you feel one with? What does that feel like? What does that look like again? It's a cause for celebration on dimensional levels of, yeah, that's what I'm getting, like on multi-dimensional levels of creation, not just the one that we reside in, not just the one that we know exists, but in realms that we have no idea about. It's like a culminating realization and actualization. For what reason, I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I'm reading from this card. It's like, let's just say at the most primitive level, angels celebrating you realizing how one you are with the Creator, how intertwined, integrated you are with the divine nature of yourself. Maybe because it makes their job easier, makes their burden lighter. And of course, it makes the Creator feel fulfilled, like finally somebody gets it. Something about that here. There's some cause for celebration regarding this gift, like almost it being a pleasure to pass down. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. You to know exactly who you are and how powerful you are is the gift that keeps on giving in realms beyond your realization. Beyond your residence and your realization. Interesting. All right, let me get two more. Could even be angels, because sometimes I see that traditional Three of Cups is it could be angels and ancestors, celebrating on some astral plane of existence that their lives were not in vain, their work was not in vain, their sacrifices were not in vain, and that it's all contributed to this defining moment, this pivotal moment of presence within you, their beloved, like when it may have seemed the promise seemed quite bleak that anyone would ever get it, and that we might be forever cycling this through this illusion of fear and insecurity and unworthiness and doubtfulness and death. Get into it. And death. You've broken a chain. You've broken a cycle. That's the celebration. Because the realms of reality that are spectating, they already know what they know, because they exist beyond this realm of illusion. It's one thing to know in hindsight, when there's really not so much you can really do about it, but cheer on your best player in the game at this point and help them as much as you can. But for someone in this game of illusion to awaken to themselves and ascend in a spirit of all knowing, That's phenomenal. That's a phenomenon of a frequency, actually, that wasn't supposed to. I mean, it may have always been hoped for, but it was never guaranteed that it would absolutely be or exist or emerge. Because look, the odds have always been against that realization and that awakening that these shadows would supersede your sovereignty and any semblance of it, that you would always stand in that in the darkness, in the shadow of yourself, wondering if you ever, if you've earned the right to live in the light, if you've earned the trust of the divine to do anything that isn't dependent on some outside force or source, or dictated by, what's more, an outside source or force. To wonder, even once you get a taste or a glimpse of a certain level of power and authority and sovereignty, if you even deserve it. Like, can you even be trusted with that? The answer is yes. It's being affirmed quite clearly, and even more so, as I've said, that affirmation and confirmation is the gift. It's the thing that breaks the chains, the cycles, the curses that have persisted through ages, generations, eons perhaps, to finally liberate. That's the first line in my prayer. The first Noel of liberty does twinkle like a Christmas tree, a star atop to beacon so, to signal to the gifts below. Oh my goodness. So you become the beacon of possibility and promise fulfilled. Because once you do, I mean, the past is already, what's the word, vindicated. There's a scripture about that too that I can't think of right now, but it's something about like vindicating the past and those that come before you. Like what you do is almost like culminating for those that may have tried, or gotten to a certain point only, but so far, you making it a great distance beyond that point is a gift to them as well. And of course, like validating and vindicating, I can't remember the verbiage that's used in that scripture, but then of course is also forwarding for those that come after, because now that you have pushed beyond a certain breaking point, it sets the bar ahead or above, so that the next generation knows what their potential may be, even to go beyond that. But certainly that this is the least that is possible. Oh goodness. All right, a couple more. Knight of Presents. It's been a long time coming. It's like the Knight of Pentacles. It's been a long time on its way, on that sleigh. Many lifetimes, many years, many cycles, many generations come and gone. Hopeful and hopeless. But here you are, carrying the torch. Taking it as far ahead or as high above as maybe perhaps than anyone ever has. Certainly within a timeline that is conducive to it, because maybe others have, but it wasn't time yet. And the era wasn't conducive for evolution in that magnitude, or advancement of that magnitude. This could even be those energies, like watching how you carry the torch and just like in amazement and in awe, like, damn, if I would have had X, Y, and Z back when I was doing my thing, you know, but here you are. It's just the timing of it, the divine timing of it all, that the realm is ripe for this magnitude of change. So it really is a wonderful time to be alive, to do something that's never been done before. And we know that with the Knight of Pentacles, traditionally, that's something you can take to the bank. It might take a while. It might, you know, have had to cross through many channels, through multiple checkpoints, trial and tribulation. But when that pentacle reaches its destination, it is secure, it is sustainable, and it's a seed that can be counted on to harvest a future from. All right, let's see. One more. So much for short, but it's not too bad. It'll be shorter than it usually is. And here's a new beginning, the Fool. That's Jack. The Fool. Now, this is when Jack was actually searching for some evolved purpose before he got himself in trouble trying to take over Santa Claus' job. But this is you stepping into this fresh identity, evolved identity, like a new creature, and having to allow yourself to really stretch into, you know, those clothes, you know, the stretch into that feeling of autonomy, of sovereignty that you've never had before. And all of the spoils and the fortune and favor that comes along with it. It's the Fool, because it's the past has culminated of insecurity and uncertainty and doubt and fear. That cycle has come to a close, thank God, literally. This is a season that is the very opposite of that. That in many ways you don't have much of a point of reference for. And so it's going to be like all, you know, everything new to you. How you feel about yourself, how you see life, how you assert your autonomy, your sovereignty, you know, how you allow that to assimilate or not with the rest of creation, of which some may be, you know, awakening as you are, and some may not, you know, that's new to you. And really, like, it's just flexing in what ultimately turns out to be the evidence of your faith. That's the flex. What you were able to hold faith for in much darker, bleaker times is now actualizing materially, physically, in every way, shape, and form, but in no uncertain terms. And that's the evidence of the faith that you seeded a long time ago. That's the gift. That's the gift. Like I said, you didn't even know most times what you were hoping for, wishing for, maybe even what was truly on, you know, on the top of your Christmas list, your wish list. And here comes the divine sweeping in with everything that you jotted down on, you know, on your little list. And then some things you didn't even ask for because you didn't know to ask for. You didn't know that was within your realm to expect, let alone to command. But here it is. And it's going to be so new to you, like Christmas Day, like new toys, new gadgets, new clothes that you can't wait to wear, can't wait to play with, can't wait to share or show off in some regard. I love this. Thank you, Spirit, for this. This is amazing. the Six of Needles, which is like the Six of Swords. Yeah, it's like this Six of Swords, of course, is like transitioning to like that peaceful, like retreat, like that peaceful time, that promised land energy. Like, yeah, making yourself whole again. That's what she's doing. Sally, she's stitching herself back up again. Pulling yourself back together and being made whole from a supernatural state as well. But it's like, what is it with Sally? Like, it's like a rebranding in a sense, and almost like a reintroduction to the world as well, because every time she fell apart, she stitched herself back up. And more or less, she was presenting herself as a new creature in a way, not really, but kind of. Like a new and improved Sally is what I'm getting. So yeah, it's like something about like presenting yourself to the world, or in whatever capacity makes sense to you, great or small, in a way that no one, perhaps even you, has ever experienced you before. Interesting. Yeah, some people might be looking like, who does she think she is, or where did he come from, or who told him he could do that, or when did they start, and doing that for work, or what, how they make their money, or whatever. When did they move to that part of town or that house or whatever? It's going to be a shock to some. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The Queen of Presents, Mrs. Claus. What's cooking up for you right now? And this is Pentacles as well. Like, what is about to be transferred to your possession, that in true essence of a Queen of Pentacles, you're going to wear like new money, whatever that is. It could be actual spiritual gifts, it could be new talents or hidden talents that you're now feeling at liberty to share, or that have been enhanced in a different way, or a business that you have been working on secretly or quietly for a while, and finally you're launching it. Or however, it's like some upgrade of energy here that is going to be undeniable, and also on display in a way that is going to be fascinating. That is fascinating. It's fascinating to you, and it's fascinating. Like, if it, as a matter of fact, it's almost unbelievable to you. Like, look at the difference between putting yourself together and being in transition to being a new expression of yourself, or into territory that's more conducive to who you are, which could be a thing as well, like actually moving, picking up from one place to another, or one field to another, or one surrounding to another, so that this aspect of you can truly flourish in all of its glory. That could be a thing too. And perhaps the gift is knowing exactly what that is. That transition is the thing that actually carries you out of the way of all the resistance, all the uncertainty, all the insecurities, because it's at that moment you will know that your instinct and your integration with divine and supreme intellect is 100% secure. And if you can imagine having that level of certainty at a time when it doesn't really make sense, imagine when all of the nonsensical things are wiped away from your field, and all that there is you and God just crushing it, pretty much. God in you just crushing it. One win after the next, after the next, after the next. That's the gift. You're the gift that keeps on giving, because the greatest example of that reality is your waking life. And so if you can display that such a divine resonance is possible, then that means there, like I said before, there'll be more that are inspired to assert their own version of that, actualize their own version of that. And so therefore it absolutely does make the ancestors, the angels, the divine work a lot less harder and enjoy their creations and their adjacents to creation that much more sweetly. So, Merry Christmas. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.